everybody, Adam here from Menta Watches. Welcome back to the channel. While we were in New York for the watch auctions in June, we had some time to sit down with some dear friends of ours. Our first stop is going to be to Mr. Gai Gohari of Classic Watch LLC to take a look at some of the crazy and superlative niche watches that he has on deck. Our second stop will be with a dear friend of ours who has one of the most amazing wall clock, table clock, and watch stand dealer displays probably in the country that we know of. And our last stop is to a dear friend of ours, Mr. John Buckley of recent TikTok fame, and his partners, the Vookum crew. Really interesting guys. Hope you liked the video. Let's take a look. Okay, so we are now sitting down with a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Gai Gohari of Classic 55 LLC. I've known Guy for several years. Like I said, he's a very close friend, but the great thing about Guy, aside from his eccentric personality and clothes, is that he sells the most eccentric watches ever. Stuff that you really never get to see, really off the beaten path stuff, jewelry watches, just really like guy who beats to his own drum. So I really wanted to sit down with him while I was here in New York, take a look at what he's got in stock, and hear a little bit about the watches. So Guy, welcome to the channel. Thanks for being on here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Welcome.
So you pulled out an array of watches here for myself and Sasha who's joining us. Let's walk through it because there's a lot of crazy stuff I've ever even seen before. Let's first of all, let's start with the box. When pulled out the box for us, if people don't know what this is actually a very, very rare Rolex box. Tell us a little bit about it.
Part of my personal collection that I display here in the office. It's a King Midas box. It was accessorizing the King Midas line in the early 70s. It's really a beautiful box. In all my years of watch dealing, I have not seen another reference with such an attractive and unique box. A lot of them are nice, but this really
that one
tips everything.
But I think it's still
like this side.
To this day, the coolest box Rolex has made.
Yes.
One of the hardest now to find because everybody who asks them to one will sell them.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't even own a King Midas.
And they typically, you can find them, but without this inner piece or let alone this other piece.
Right. So very cool.
Quite unique. I'm sorry I don't have a Midas to show you with it right now.
I mean, as you
the
saw
one that came with I sold the watch at the bottom.
I remember Guy was in my office 6 months ago, and he literally starts pulling out of his pockets these jumbo King Midases, which are now one of the most popular watches in the market. And would you have like 9 or 10 of them?
I had about 12.
It was. I have a picture of like them all in my hand. We'll have to put it on the video. It was absolutely insane.
I'm left with one.
You are truly pioneering these crazy cool watches that have way up in popularity. People are really starting to pay attention to stuff that no one used to care about.
What makes them rare, you know what factor is that most of them got melted. So the ones that are left out in the wild are quite rare.
People melted them because it's a huge chunk of gold. And they're like, oh, I get more melting then. Not anymore.
Most of these bracelets, watches that I sell, the same reference would have been melted, and the one that survived are here.
So let's start with these two right here because they're the same watch of different metal. Really interesting dial. Who makes these? Based on the bracelet? Patek Philippe. Yeah. Wow. So what reference is this? And you tell us a little bit about them, where they're from.
I don't remember the reference number, but these are from the late 60s, mid 70s. What makes them peculiar is this beautiful bracelet pattern, which is hard to replicate today. I've been speaking with companies like Piaget, etc., that have a lot of artistry in their bracelet making. And they were telling me that today, if they had to replicate what they were making at the time, it would be quite impossible.
Wow.
For what they had, like, for example, they were looking at the bracelet they made in the 60s, and it took them about 5 months to re-engineer how...
Reverse engineer.
Yes.
So
these things are not possible today. You can't find...
But even look at I love on this particular reference how the dial, there's like a Florentine finish in the middle of the dial that almost matches the bracelet. And it's crazy because brands really don't do anything like this anymore. And, you know, I tend to shy away a lot of times from integrated bracelets because there's always problems whether the bracelet's too short and you can't get links for it, or is somebody going to like it because then they can't change it for a strap. And very popular now is to change from strap to steel, steel to strap. They've grown a lot of popularity. I generally don't shy away as much as I used to anymore. 3 years ago, I wouldn't have even touched them. Now these days, I'll call you up and be like, hey, what are we paying for this watch, you know?
There's a lot of value to begin with intrinsically in the gold weight of these watches.
Sure.
They're not expensive. They're all reasonably priced for what they are. They're a premium brand, gold watch, gold bracelet. unique.
Something that nobody has. Somebody that you're not going to see.
You won't find another guy wearing the same watch that you have.
So what are the approximate values, or what are you going to be listing these watches for?
These are about $10,000 each. Yes.
So there's no difference in the price whether it's yellow or white? No?
These I sell like I would sell a jacket or a sweater.
Right.
First of all, it has to fit you. It's a small, medium, large, depending on the bracelet.
Right.
And then you have to like it. You know, it's really unique, your individual taste that drives you to buying this stuff, because there's no really, it's not an investment piece.
Right.
It's not gonna really grow exponentially.
Well, you don't know.
Either you like it or you not.
But the thing is, you never know that, because with the way watches, like King Midas is a perfect example. You couldn't give those watches away 5 years ago.
Yes.
And now they're selling for $20K plus, like for the jumbo models. And, you know, all the gold weight on them is what, around like 10, 11, 12 grand. So they're way higher than the melt weight that people used to just get rid of them for.
But the entry ticket for all these pieces is quite reasonable.
Right.
So there's always room. And then there's room for, if they ever want to consign them back, there's always room for another ride.
Right. Okay, but then on certain ones, like the King Midas right now, there's a lot of people looking for them. So they'll be looking on the internet, looking King Midas and they'll find. How do you sell something like that where nobody, I don't even think that we know the reference.
Right. Okay.
Well, when you list it, I'm sure you'll pop
no.
the case back and get the reference.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I mainly sell them through my Instagram, where I showcase the stuff, I wear it,
It is Instagram.
Give some life to it, and then people might be attracted or not, and we wait for that right guy to come.
And his Instagram, by the way, is Murillo55, and we'll put it in the description below so you guys can follow him and see all of his crazy finds.
Why 55?
Yeah.
My lucky number.
Just, it is.
That's it.
Fair enough.
Simply no sophisticated reason besides I'm drawn to that number. And whenever I put that number, I'm happy.
Why Murillo?
Murillo, because I was really a fan of the DJ back in the day, Eric Murillo.
Okay.
Murillo 55 was my screen name on AOL.
Oh, wow.
25 years that was.
Sushi 83, nice to meet you.
I don't even want to tell you guys what mine was. Anyways, all right, let's move on. What do you have in your hand there?
I have another Patek Philippe Ellipse, which is one of the strongholds of my collections. Always I have the Ellipse design.
And I've noticed also a rise in popularity in the Ellipse models,
yes.
especially the jumbo versions. I know you sell a lot of them. John Reardon sells
yes.
a lot of them. And they seem, again, I've had a few requests for them in the past few months, whereas in my entire career, almost 10 years now, generally no one's ever asked me for an Ellipse, and recently, a few people here and there have asked me more about them. Yeah,
well,
insurgents.
All these designs from the 70s that have soft edges, jumbo proportions are becoming popular because drawing from the Nautilus and Royal Oak enthusiastic time, now they find other watches that have the same inspiration, the same sort of vibe. So this is the time for those designs. Here I have one in white gold with a really tremendous bracelet.
Yeah, it's a really interesting bracelet. Speaking of amazing design, my eyes are drawn to these. I know what they are. I love these watches for the reason they were invented is to be able to be laid down to use as a table clock. Tell us about them.
They're called cloche. They're Art Deco design from Cartier.
Yes.
Quintessential design, very rare to come by.
Well, the original ones are very rare. That's why I'm surprised to see.
These are the original, very rare to see a pair like this. I haven't shown them till today.
Oh.
They were stuck in my safe.
And cloche meaning bell in French, which is the shape of the case.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, we learn something new every day.
They just did a re-edition, but
Thank you.
far from the charm and then character of the vintage one.
And what era are those from?
These are 1930s, 1940s.
Wow. Yeah, I've never sold an original one, only the reissues that they've done in the past several years.
Which are much bigger.
Much bigger, yeah. But I think these are
great.
beautiful. Yeah, I think it's great. And I just love the fact that Cartier was always thinking outside the box, always with interesting ideas and designs. No one else thought to just make a wristwatch that you could lay down and use as a table clock. It was so thoughtful for the era.
That's what I love about Cartier, the design, the eccentricity in all their offerings. And that's what draws me to that brand. There is always something particular that we haven't seen, or some sort of weird design that comes out to be very classy then on the wrist, unexpectedly classy on the wrist like this one.
So I don't know the answer to this question myself. What is the market value for original cloche like this?
It could be anything.
No,
I mean, you could,
so if your client asked you, what are the prices? I'm just curious. If you don't want to say it,
check.
okay. If you are interested in the close, you could contact Guy. He may or may not give you a price.
But the thing
It's hard to put values on this stuff. You know, sometimes it's very hard to put values.
It's very hard. These things, the truth is, you can find them, who knows, in an antique shop, I don't know, in Buenos Aires or some other exotic place, and they could be there for $3,000 or $5,000, but the real market value could be 60, 100. I mean, it depends how fast the heartbeat of the collectors is runs, and how badly he wants, because
If you crash, like as much as what? This is rarer than to crash.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I get it.
Okay. What about the other Cartier that my eye is being drawn to, the Centre there? Tell us a little bit about that.
This Centre is from 1970. Platinum watch, extremely rare. I haven't seen many other platinum Centres from the 70s. I've seen deco ones. There was one in Christie's.
20s.
And the one is featured in the Cartier Bianco book, which is a book just about white Cartiers. That's how rare they are.
The Antiquarian book.
It's identical to the one in the book.
Wow. And that's the jumbo size, which is nice too, because they made smaller sizes. It wears very, very well on the wrist for people who are always worried that vintage Cartier is going to wear too small.
It wears very large, and I would say it's the beginning of the American kind of design, because this is just at the border between a Centre, and an American with a little chunkier brand card.
Cartier really is just all about design. You know, with the curved case and everything. They just were always thinking of things that no one else was doing, and it was like a dare to be different kind of Centurio. You know, absolutely like you. You know?
The thing about Cartier that I would like to educate all the public is that they are design watches, they're accessories. They're not fine timepieces like Rolex. So most of them, the dial would deteriorate, would get humidity. That's the charm, or refinish even in their history. It's absolutely normal.
I think it's the one brand where refinished or restored dials is more commonly accepted than any other brand out.
Well, look at the platinum. It was from the 1930s Centre that was just sold in the Geneva sale. That was a restored dial.
Totally restored. Even the case, the numbers were all
original family. The case back was redone. But original owner who had all the service records and all the records of this being done, but for an entirely restored watch to reach what, 300,000?
Yes.
Well, we talked about that on prior videos, that there's levels of restoration in the watch world that, if done properly and done correctly, can sometimes even increase the value or desirability of a watch. It's when restoration is done behind the scenes for nefarious purposes and not divulged, when it becomes a problem. But I think we're going to see, because there's no reason why the watch world can't be like the car world, in my opinion, where if restoration, a top-down restoration on a car is done properly, it absolutely increases the value of the car, depending on what it is. There should be something similar in the watch world, like, for example, that Platinum Centre. It was done by Cartier. It was well documented. The watch looked amazing, and it was, listen, we're talking about a watch that's 100 years old. Or coming up on 100 years old, and it blew out the estimate, and it achieved a really great result, and there was frenzy bidding on it, because I was live.
It was like 12.
Yeah, it was
ridiculous.
Yeah, the estimate was low. That was irrelevant, but the bidding was frenzied. I remember there's multiple bidders on it. I wasn't bidding personally, but I watched the whole thing.
Phones, online room.
Which was good to see,
The question everybody has to ask themselves about restoration is, do they want to wear a watch that looks beautiful, or they rather have something that is unrestored and touched that might look wonky but appeals to them because of its originality?
Right.
Whichever way someone wants to go, it should be totally acceptable.
Exactly. It's subjective,
Yeah, like you have a car, you want to drive like a tearing down car, you want to drive a mint condition car when you are in the street. Up to you.
Right. Yeah.
We have to, I think,
change the mindset.
Yes.
Change the mindset.
There was a lot of education made by when we started 10 years ago.
Right.
The Hodinkee also started becoming popular, and they started educating everyone to what is right, what is not right. And I think then the collector had that mindset.
It was very narrow focus.
Very narrow focus. Right. Also because there was, some kind of agenda to sell and promote certain things that they were trying to promote.
All original owner.
Untouched. Yeah. And we know best, and you don't know. And
And listen, I think there's something
That's the best way to lose the passion.
Yes, it becomes so stressful.
And individual tastes, and just be like, oh wow, I love the look of this.
Right.
It's like the loop and the UV light immediately before even looking.
Just look, you like,
look, and
there's a price for this and there's a price for that.
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think there needs to be a delineation between, yes, like there is a time and a place to want and buy a very perfect, unpolished, mint, original owner, whatever watch, and there's a price that's associated with that. And that's a kind of different form of collecting, a different agenda than just buying a watch because you like it. You know, and maybe it has a few flaws, but that's okay. But the price reflects that, and it's a separate market almost. I think there needs to be kind of like in people's minds a separate market for collecting and buying those perfect full set mid watches versus just buying a watch that you like. And they don't need to be mutually exclusive. You could buy both and enjoy both. And it doesn't need to be where you have to buy a watch only because it's unpolished because some blog says so.
Right.
I 100%. I think that's changing. I think people are finally starting to wake up and realize that, listen, these watches are all old. They've been sent for service a million times. Most of them are not unpolished anymore. And even if they are, sometimes you can't tell, or unless you were genuinely with the watch since it was produced from the factory, you don't know for sure. We're just doing our best based on the experience that guys like you and I have and Sasha has to determine whether it's unpolished in our professional opinion. But I think the mindset needs to change and collectors' attitudes needs to change. I see that shift coming. I think,
and if there's a flaw in the dial, the watch is 100 years old or 80 years old or 70 or 50.
Right. The price just needs to reflect it, and that's that. That's it.
I hate when they ask me, these watches come with box and papers. For papers and boxes to be hoarded together with a watch for 50, 60, 70 years, it's a miracle.
Yes.
And as I learned from you, would be prominently advertised.
Yeah.
And the price will prominently be reflected.
I still
around that block.
And my musings that are on Instagram, I still get messages all the time. This is that boxing papers. I'm like, it's in the listing. Just go look.
But if it does, it's a miracle. Don't expect that to be. You're like,
we will tell you. We'll say full set. Absolutely, because we're going to try to get more money because it has those boxing papers when the watch is 70 years old.
Miracle of hoarding.
Okay, so we have a few more watches here before we spend all day shooting shit.
I want to show you one brand that no one has really.
What are people sleeping on? What are people tell us?
I love Piaget.
Okay.
Piaget is the newcomer in the vintage game, I believe. It's a brand that has been around for 150 years, and they made some of the most stunning dress watches that I've seen. For example, this white gold number, automatic ultra thin. They've been making, besides marvelous cases and dials, their movements are exceptional. Patek Philippe grade movements. This is the 12P automatic ultra thin.
This reminds me of a Cartier, actually, that I sold recently.
The crystal or
yeah, exactly.
the large one.
Yeah.
But these are the Beta 21.
This is a Beta 21.
It's a lapis style.
Lapis.
Yes, they have beautiful tire dry.
Yes.
All kinds of different
All kinds of
dials.
stone dial. What I love about this is the size.
Yeah, I agree.
The proportion.
Right.
Size matters.
It wears like a modern watch for those people who are afraid to wear smaller watches. Another mindset shift that I think is happening.
Smaller watch.
People are finally becoming okay again with wearing smaller watches. I think Mike Naveau did like a TikTok talking about it. And he's like, well, listen, if they were good enough for Tony Soprano, Hulk Hogan, this president, Martin Luther King, this, it should be good enough for you.
I think people got bigger and bigger.
I just did an upload of watches and we were counting, half of them are below 40 millimeters. So we have 34, 35, 36, 38.
Change the mind shift.
Yeah. And people are like, and those were the first ones to sell this time.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah.
Like they're
affordable.
millimeter watch was like impossible to sell not so long ago.
They're all affordable. They're it's a different look than the norm. I think a big man with a small watch will attract so much more attention if you were wearing a watch that is like a panorama. It would look so much classier and like stylish than a big watch.
Vespa, Ferrari.
Yeah. Another lapis number. I don't know if you noticed, by the way, different than many other dealers, 99% of the watches I offer are 18 karat gold and precious.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't buy really anything steel.
Well, it's because
So
the watches
much.
are special, as in we're not a lot produced.
Why? If they are, it's like again a rare number, but everything gold. So you're buying value, you're buying the brand, you're buying the dream.
Right.
This is why, sir.
Yeah. No, listen, I really commend you for your persistence in selling a certain aesthetic of watches. You absolutely are beating to your own drum. You don't care what market trends are. You don't care okay, I'm going to buy some Samara because I know I can sell it in a day. You walk in knowing that some of these watches might sit for a while until they find the right home and the right person that appreciates it. And some of them are going to fly off the shelves because they're just so unique and cool. And you seek out these watches. It totally fits your personal tastes. Like, you absolutely buy to sell what you love.
Yes.
Like, this is you. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen like
Long-term play.
Yeah, but like it's you know, most dealers in the game, they buy a watch because they want to sell and turn a profit, so they know their market of what they can buy and sell, you know?
When I sell, I cringe a little bit. Because I love it so I'm not gonna see it again.
You and your brother are obsessed with Speedmasters. You became the Speedmaster experts. You sell a lot of them because you sell what you love, and that's what you guys love.
Yeah, regardless of their popularity, which has gone like super down, up, back down.
I mean, I got started with what I was collecting at the time with 40s and 50s vintage chronographs, stuff like this actually, like 13 ZNs, stuff like that. I've obviously expanded into a lot more territory.
Your taste expand.
Absolutely. You know, well, dude, thank you so much for saying.
Adam, thank you so much. I want to say something. No one works as hard as Adam. I've never seen another colleague that does his job with such drive and passion. Really, Adam, I commend you for all your hard work.
Thank you, brother.
Sasha,
pleasure.
You're a handsome dealer, probably the most handsome in the industry and the most charming. Thank you so much.
That's a bold-faced lie. But anyways, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Again, it is Morillo, Morillo 55.
55.
At Instagram. It will be in the description below, so you can follow him. His website is classicwatchny.com. He is Mr. Gai Gohari. If you are in the market for something different that nobody else has, something classy, something cool, something chic, hit the man out.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, we got to sit down with a dear friend of mine, very long client, and like I said earlier, has one of the coolest collections of wall clocks and table clocks, old Rolex dealer displays, and things of that nature. It's a really awesome collection, and I hope you guys enjoy. Well, first of all, thanks for having us. The last time I was here, I took a bunch of pictures of all your crazy clocks and displays and tchotchkes, and I posted on Instagram, and I got a flood of messages. Number one, where is this museum located so I can come visit? And number two, how many people were asking me if this is for sale and that's for sale. Obviously nothing's for sale, but I thought I'd make a cool video to show everybody and hear a little bit about them, because there's so many questions fielded my way and I just did not know the answers. So I guess let's start in the living room. Let's start with these clocks. I got a couple questions about this one.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us what it is?
This is called a bus driver's clock, and it actually came from a bus in Switzerland.
Wow.
And the clock was made to fit into the steering wheel so that the bus driver could either figure out if he was late or early on his route, or just what time it was.
Made by Zenith.
It is made by Zenith.
Wow.
Yes.
So these were in actual buses.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, this came actually.
How do you wind this?
You look at that, and to set it, you just
Pull it out.
pull it out.
Oh, wow. That is super cool. Pretty good for, what year would you say? 1950s?
I would say 50s or 60s. Yeah.
50s or 60s?
Sure.
Interesting. All right, cool. What's the deal
People
with
may
this?
recognize because it was a clock that was in Don Draper's office in
From Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Cool.
It's a Sunbeam. It was an early battery-operated clock, and they actually made them, obviously, to sell. You don't see too many of them around these days, but I always loved it because I'm a Mad Men freak. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, me too. I love Mad Men. I have to do a rewatch on that one. All right, so let's move further down the line before we head into the bedrooms. I see a really cool, what is this, a solar Patek clock?
Yes, that's Patek Solar with a red dial, which is unusual. Next to it is a Longines, which is a very rare model, one of the first electronic clock. They used those mechanisms in their watches of the time, but they made very few clocks.
Wow.
This is a Solar Udine clock, of which I have a bunch, and I just always like the design of them and the shape of them.
This one is probably the one I got the most messages about. A few people asking me if it was for sale, and then Eric Wynn was calling because he has one as well, and I think you guys are the only two people in existence. And I know you actually got this from the Davidoff brothers, our good friends.
I did.
So tell us about this. This is super cool.
Well, this originally came from Europe, and it was owned by a watch dealer who was fleeing the Nazis.
Wow. Sorry to interrupt. He was a Longines distributor, correct?
Yes.
I think Sasha told us the story, right?
ED, I think.
Right.
And so this was one of the things that he squirreled away and took with him.
This was a dealer display, though, correct?
Yes, this was a dealer display. It has the mechanism of an actual Longines watch in there, but they made it to, oversized so that it could sit in a dealer's showroom. And actually the base was missing, but I had a picture of the base, and a good friend of mine who's really an artist fabricated
Oh, wow.
a base for it.
That's awesome. So we can't put this on our wrist thing. It's going to be
You could.
Yeah.
Probably. You know what?
And what do we have here?
This is a Herman Miller Art Deco clock by Gilbert Rohde,
Okay.
of which I have a bunch. Very iconic from the Art Deco period.
Okay. Super cool. All right, let's move over here. I know we have a lot to get through because I know you have a lot of stuff back there. So let's walk us through. Yeah, let's walk us through.
These are three very early Howard Miller clocks, George Nelson and Associates. You rarely see this one or this one. This one is more famous. Incredible designs that came out of that company.
Oh, awesome. All right, so I guess let's make our way back into the bedroom.
Each one has a Patek mechanism, even the Rolex clock. They were among the first electronic clocks that were made.
What were these used for?
These were used as
towers.
master clocks to synchronize clocks in a building, a factory,
Oh, wow.
a school. This is actually a ship's clock.
Wow. And they're all still working, which is crazy.
Yep.
I can't imagine there's a lot of people who still work on these and are able to restore them. Probably a handful.
I know one.
What about these Patek clocks up
Those
here?
are also two Patek solar clocks.
Lapis style?
Yes.
Wow.
The piece in the middle is a really rare mechanism display from Patek of the chronological mechanisms that they used through the years.
Awesome. So these are just a random assortment of cool clocks over the years. I see Omega in there. I see Gerard Perregaux. Oh, that might just be a stand. What is this? This looks interesting.
That's a lamp clock.
Wow.
And it actually was very popular in its day. You plug it in
Yeah, look at that.
and it lights up if you want it to, or just tells the time.
Wow.
And these are two really amazing space age clocks, one at JLC and one by
Tissot. Yeah, and down here you have some interesting stuff too. Look at this Tiffany & Co.
Yeah, I got that from a friend of mine.
I think that came from me, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. It's been years. Wow. Now, World Time JLC, look at this. This is beautiful. 2 World Times, but look at this. It's such like a lost art. But, there's a lot of interest whenever I post something interesting like this. People ask me about them. Really? Yeah. Marshall Field Company, Novato. Okay, so what do we have?
And this is an Omega, they call it the lightning clock because it was used in TV stations to synchronize the timing of beginning and end of shows.
A lot of utility for these clocks over the years, What do we have on the wall over here before I see you pulled out some stuff on the floor? And there's some stuff on the bookshelf too. A lot of stuff. I know, it's great.
That's another Solari, and that is a Patek electronic clock that I'm waiting for the one guy I know who repairs them to repair it.
What would that have gone to? Any idea?
It does work. I'm not exactly sure.
Just a cool wall clock. Probably was for like an industrial building or something like that, it seemed,
Definitely.
Yeah.
John Reardon would know.
John Reardon would absolutely know. So I know you have a large collection of like dealer displays that you've collected over the years. You pulled out a few of your favorites for me. We plugged one in for sake of brevity. And tell us about this. This is awesome. What era is this from? Look at that.
This is 50s or early 60s, and it's an automated display of a billboard to try to simulate, the different billboards that you would see.
Look at the early wrist shots. I love that. Yeah. From Bulova.
It says Bulova, although it's fake.
Give Bulova for him, for her, forever. I love that. That's amazing.
This lights up. The different boxes light up individually and then all at once. It's cool, although it doesn't do that much. And this blinks from the dial that you see now to the see-through dial that Accutron was famous for.
Very, very cool. All right, I think we have one more room to get through. Such an awesome collection. Oh, well, and here you pulled out 3 more displays for us, plugged a couple of them in. I know this guy bends over, but I don't think we have a room to plug him in.
Right. These are 2 Hamilton displays. This was for their iconic railroad watch. He moves like so. And this is one of my favorites.
Me too, yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably like early 60s or 50s to show that you're buying a waterproof watch. And I think the rain effect, considering that it's 50, 60 years old, is pretty good.
The ingenuity that went into these is absolutely crazy, and it's a shame that they don't do displays like this anymore, but I guess it makes these that much more collectible because they don't.
Yeah.
And I also see a couple of my favorite. What a collection of the Mito robots. So you have the large one and you have a couple smaller ones. I didn't even know those smaller ones existed.
Well, the one with the red belly is an actual Mito display. The one on to his right is a Bluetooth speaker. The one towards the back is actually a fossil watch display. This little kid up front was from the National Screw Company. They called it the mascot Nat, and it's all made of screws that the company made.
So, well, thank you so much for giving us a quick tour. I know there's a lot more to see, and I know there are a lot of watches in your collection too that I'm sure people would love to see, but we are on a schedule. We need to get to Christie's now.
Here.
I know. I'll be back though, and next time we're gonna show the hometown crowd your watch collection. It is very amazing, just as impressive as your clocks. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good seeing you. All right, bro. Many people know this next guy because of the dial named after him, the Buckley dial. But John Buckley has been a legend in the industry for many, many years. We had a few moments to sit down with him, talk about the industry, talk about the watch market, and generally just catching up. Hope you guys enjoyed this part. So we are here on 47th Street in New York City, sitting down with one of my, favorite people in the industry. In all sincerity, huge jerk, but one of my favorite people. And these guys who need no introduction, you boys from Vookum, who have been revolutionizing the social media watch TikTok game. No,
Watch landscape.
no, listen, absolutely true. Like, I give you guys a lot of shit. Absolutely, we all joke because we're good friends. But I want to sit down with you guys and talk about it because it's really interesting what you guys have been doing, how that's all like taken shape. So, first of all, this man, Mr. John Buckley, who has been a prominent figure in the watch world for longer than I've been alive, probably.
How old are you now?
78? How old are you? Yeah. But the man who is the only guy I know who's been successfully able to name a dial after himself and make it stick, the infamous Buckley dial. But recently, you guys, when did you guys start the Vookum channel?
Last January.
Last January. Yeah, it hasn't even been that long. That's crazy what you guys have accomplished in a year and a half. Right. How many followers do you guys have combined now amongst all of you?
He's got a lot. He's got 1.6 million. I know, like about 800.
Right.
Like that.
So,
And he never lets me forget it. Yeah. I never lets me forget it.
doubled them up, bro.
Yeah.
Nice.
Doubling up on me.
Nice. So how has that been going? Like, walk us through like how this whole took place and like how it's like changing the landscape of the watch world, really. Because I get questions about it all the time.
I think a younger crowd is now like watching what's going on.
Right.
I don't think that was the case before.
It's a much broader demographic.
Right.
I mean, his demographic is a little like maybe 5 years younger than mine
Right.
officially, but the younger demographic is very, I don't know how it translates into sales like for us.
Right.
Okay, but for him, I mean, he sells all day long.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Like, what does that translate? Are you getting a lot of new buyers who are looking at purchasing their first watch and like they see you doing these deals and they hit you guys up? So what do you think, like, in terms of the impact in the business, the way we've generally done it? Because when I got started in the business, it was really when Instagram.
What was that, like 5 years ago or something?
Three and a half.
Close enough.
It's really it's sad when you look back on when it actually started.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
How long has it been? Like
10
10, 15 years? Oh, 10 years. Okay. I was trying to be nice.
When I got
doesn't matter. Like when I got started the business, when Instagram really started taking off for watches,
2012.
I was able to grow my business based on Instagram.
At eBay.
The goalpost, yeah,
You did a lot of eBay.
did a lot. I used to sell a quarter million on eBay a month. I ended up completely because I couldn't deal with the buyers anymore. I just couldn't.
That's why I quit.
But it's like the goalpost is like constantly shifting. You know, now it's going into more video-based content like YouTube and TikTok. You know, and you guys really have you're at the forefront of that, especially on TikTok.
I think it's more so what I've noticed with regard to content. It's more the people are looking for a more like an honest content,
Right.
At more organic content. Right. You know, when you get a lot of the the heavy editing and the cash register dings and little banners below. It puts people off.
Right.
What we did, what these guys did, I mean, they started it. I mean, I came in just because, I felt left out.
Right.
I just didn't want to feel like an old head that I am. And I always, like you, whenever I saw some other social media platform popping up, I would always register. And I had TikTok for a long time, just like I had Instagram. He told me to get on Instagram 2010, I think I read. 2012 is when I started. Well, we were posting sneakers. That's how far back it goes. And you too, And what I find is that when it's organic, honest content, you get a lot more people that are, I don't know, more not always the watch game,
Right.
And that gives us a chance to convert.
Yeah.
And that's the conversion is where it's at. I mean, I get people all day, okay? Because I read comments. I know you guys do, but not as much as me. But comments always go, I'll never buy a watch. I'll never do this, but I can't stop watching. Right. And then as time goes on, we've been doing it for a little bit. It's like, I just bought my first watch. It's not a Rolex, but it's this. And it's like, it's good. It's good for us, and it's better for them because they're the next group coming up in this whole game.
Yeah, I think anything that brings more exposure to what we're doing here is never a bad thing. It's crazy how much the watch market's grown even in the past few years.
Yeah, I know. No, you're right.
When I started, especially from how long you've been doing now, like the amount of people who are interested in watches now, like understand, they can look down at your wrist and understand what they're looking at compared to even a few years ago is drastically different. A lot of that's because of social media, especially with now the video-based content. So I know you guys have parlayed that into a very popular chat group for wholesale. So how has that been working, and what do you see the effects of the market of something like that?
The whole reason for the chat group was I was getting inundated, and so was he. We were getting inundated with requests.
Right.
And you know how it goes when you're dealing with people over the counter. I'm a wholesale guy.
Right.
I'm not going to get involved in, dealing
Always
with that.
favorite when you had the plaque in your booth that said wholesale only.
Well, we had the WhatsApp group that you're in that for 3 years now.
Right.
And that's the dealer only group. You have tax IDs, it's a whole other rate. But we figured let's start something that's going to be for everybody, that everybody can afford, $20 a month. Put veterans in with absolute newcomers and see how it works. So far, we've got 2,500 people in the group. I mean, it's a lot of work and a lot of a lot of legal stuff. You're an attorney, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So it's like,
How do you guys moderate that?
we have really good moderators, great staff, really good staff.
How many people do you guys have?
In total,
Yeah. So have you guys run into any problems where it's a new buyer doesn't really know what he's doing, he commits to a watch and then doesn't pay?
You know what? What I tell the guys in this group is, look, a lot of the veteran dealers have to figure this, have to get this through their head. Listen, you're in a group where you're gonna find a whole new base of buyers. So sometimes you've got to be patient with people. They don't understand the breaking Mazal type. They don't understand that concept. So sometimes I give somebody a pass, sometimes I won't.
Right.
But for the most part, people have been really following the rules. Knock on wood. I mean, we have very, very strict, protocol for, buyers and sellers. If you have a brick and mortar, if you're an established dealer, you're getting paid first, you're getting shipped to first. No questions asked. You don't like it, you can go into any of the free groups. There are many free groups.
Too many. Way too.
But they don't have, the oversight that we have.
Right.
And the oversight is key. That's what keeps people safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Even in some of the dealer groups that we're involved in, there's
There's always
Such hijinks that go on, you know?
You've been around the block. You know what I'm saying? We've seen guys, that are selling, with millions of dollars in the showcase, and then a week later they're insolvent, and we're all looking for 10 cents on the dollar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's part of the business. That's the way it works.
So you think this is like the absolute future in business in terms of doing business? Like the shows are kind of, when I say shows, I'm talking about like trade shows like IWJG, Antique Show. For me, they're on the decline because most business is conducted online. Do you want
to go to a show and, worry about whether or not you're going to make it back?
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the post this morning. Yeah. I mean, that's serious stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, serious stuff when somebody, that's like that, what happened to John, years ago on the Garden State.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go to the Grand Central Park. That's serious stuff. That's life and death.
Yeah.
Right there. Because people don't ship to and from. They want to save $1,500, $2,000. And people are always going to do that. They're always going to be penny wise and dollar foolish.
Right.
And penny wise and dollar foolish at this stage of the game can be life and death.
Right.
And these guys, they don't understand it. You've been doing this a while. We always ship to shows.
Security is like the most important thing.
Everything.
Yeah.
That is everything.
Right. What do you guys do in terms of, protecting yourselves? Because how do you have all this, added exposure? And obviously a lot of people probably recognize it.
Look around. They're there. You know what I'm saying? They're lurking. Right. So we don't carry somebody with us.
Right.
But, they're there.
Right.
And they're watching out, on the street, down here. But they do it in such a way that it's not going to intimidate.
Non-invasive. Yeah.
You keep to,
right.
We're doing a trade show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just tell us about that.
It's coming up.
As I ask whether trade shows are on the decline.
No. It's very local, small, with very, selective people. But we're going to open it to the public because we've got security on lock.
Right.
We've got pretty much the whole
I think that's
police
great
force in the township that's going to be there, transporting, helping with to and from and helping with all of that stuff.
Because you guys have all these followers who are watching you do these transactions and seeing all these watches online, but they don't really get the opportunity to really come and experience that and experience the sense of community that comes with it and stuff like that.
Listen, community is the best part.
Right. Absolutely.
That's the best part. We get to, roast each other constantly. That's fine.
Right.
But I mean, we do business. That's the trick. At the end of the day, it's about making money. That's all it's about. And
yes, and entertaining people, it seems, it comes with it.
The entertainment, we've always entertained people.
You're an entertaining guy.
Yeah, I've always been. When you look at a lot of the other social media acts, because most of them are acts.
Right.
Okay. You'll find they do all the stuff that we've been doing since we were at, 37 West, 10 West, 6 West, flipping coins, doing all of this stuff. Everybody does that now, it's like a punchline. We did it for money.
Right.
Okay? We did it for serious money. Constantly. Where's Rafi? I mean, I don't know how many coin flips in a row I've won from Rafi in the last 10 years.
I gave up doing coin flips years ago because I always fucking lose.
I think I lost maybe 5 coin flips in 10 years to Rafi.
And every single one I did.
We would flip twice a week minimum.
Right.
For minimum of 2, 3, 4, 500, 1,000, this, that. Crazy money.
Yeah.
But now everybody does it. It's like, oh wow, let's flip a coin for this. Oh, let's do a hand of poker. This
is stage. It's played out.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times in stage. Where I know you've been doing this for years as like reality. Negotiating too hard with somebody.
Exactly.
Fuck it, let's take a chance.
The problem with a lot of guys on the street is a lot of guys will do the negotiation with them, we'll find a watch, and then when they see like what the final price is, either it's not in their favor or it's in my favor, they don't want to film it. They don't want it to go forward. So we delete and we move on to the next guy.
Right.
It happens more often than not.
I believe it.
That's why, we usually film with guys who don't really care what the end result is because we're doing so much business anyway. You got to be careful,
So what's next? Like, are you guys ever considering like opening a store or doing something like that? More retail oriented now that you have,
We have a lot of ideas in the works.
It's hard to execute.
Yeah.
It takes time.
No, not that hard to execute. Just a lot of ideas that are that we're trying to bring. Got to figure out what the right play is.
I feel like you guys could really do something cool if you opened up like a storefront.
New York is tough.
New York is very tough.
It's security. We would have been opened, a year ago.
Right.
2 years ago. Just 10 times over. But the problem is security.
Right.
If you don't have uniformed police, okay, I don't want, if I have a storm, I want a cop car and a cop sitting outside 24/7. It's like 80, 100 grand a year, which is not terrible. It's not terrible.
A lot, though, but it's
okay,
a lot.
but it bites in.
Right.
You talk about expenses, you talk about rent, you talk about insurance, you talk about all of this.
Right.
And then it's like, what's your point? Then you're dealing with retail customers. Then you're dealing with all of these headaches that Healer doesn't mind dealing with. You know what I mean? Me, I don't have patience with. I just don't. I don't.
No, listen,
You know. So where do you see things going? Where do you see the market going? I know you wanted to talk about this.
yeah, I mean, the market's weird, right?
Well, the two markets.
So, two markets. What do you two milestones?
The two markets, the market that we're in.
Right.
Okay, and then the market that everybody else is in.
Right.
The people that bought watches in the last 3 years, who, you know, think that they're going to go into an AD, get lucky on a Datejust 2, and then flip it and make $5,000.
The COVID deal.
Yeah,
I mean, I think people finally are starting to wake up and realize, you know, what happened is a lot of people, you know, walked into an AD and they bought a watch retail. They saw that they made 10 grand. They're like, oh my God, this is easy. I can do this, you know, 20 more times. And every time, you know, for the past couple of years, especially during COVID era, you know, they would buy a watch even if they held it for a couple of weeks, they would make money. And so like, oh, this is simple. And, you know, I know of several dealers now who fiber impacted it.
Yeah.
You know, gone to work for an auction house or this or that, you know. Yeah. And they realize that it's not so simple. And where you have to start carrying inventory and things don't sell right away, you know, from an Instagram post, and you have to wait or you can take a loss, you know, it gets a little murkier, you know. So, I mean, listen, the retail market right now is fine. It took a little bit of time for people to adjust to the new reality. You know, when a client's offering you a ceramic Daytona that he paid 45 grand for, look, the lowest I can offer you is 32. Well,
Want to buy one of me?
it took several months for people to be like, okay, that market's gone. It's not coming back. If I want to sell my watch, this is the price, the reality.
Yep.
And so I think things have finally stabilized in terms of all of that nonsense. I mean, it's more.
I think the timing right now, with summer coming up, and the false sense of security that a strong JCK and JG show, I've been getting a lot of different feedback.
Right.
Everybody, you know me, I love doom and gloom.
Right.
That's my favorite kind of stuff.
Every time.
That's what it's all
Market's
about.
dead.
Market's dead. But from where I sit, okay, the guys that are coming to me trying to sell me stuff,
Right.
are the guys that you're talking about, the guys that got in over the last 3, 4, 5 years, who have never seen a down market.
Right.
Okay, you remember 2012. I remember 2006, 2008. I remember 2001. I remember these.
Right.
And this, if the market does turn in a negative direction, it's going to be a bloodbath for a lot of people. Not us, okay, but for other guys that are leveraged,
That's scary.
memoed, okay? I mean, you know, if you can't buy your own inventory if you're not an owner,
Right.
okay, or you're just, you know, playing with somebody else's money, you got to be careful.
So what's your prediction? Do you think we're heading towards another, you know,
I think that
downturn like 2008,
I think we're going to have
COVID, you know?
I think
Start of COVID.
COVID lasted a week. COVID lasted a week.
Right.
I bought an $11,000 Daytona off Max. Okay, the day after I got back from Miami, which was March 17th.
Even I can. Yeah, I fire sale some stuff, and I wish I had. You know.
$11,000. I flipped it for, I think, $13,000.
Right.
To a guy overseas. I held the thing in my safe for 2.5 years.
Right.
They picked it up and he sold it for $25,000.
I was selling full gold marriage for $15,000
There you go.
just to make a sale.
Exactly.
Just to home.
Just to
and I'm
bring
like,
in
I need to bring in money.
Just to bring in money.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah.
That's the trick. But
What do you think? Do you think we're headed for like a severe downturn? I know you didn't. There's honest.
I think, my honest opinion, I honestly think that with so much inventory out there, there's a lot of product out there. Certain models, I mean, Daytonas are always going to be strong.
Right.
Submariners, there's a lot of them out there. GMTs, there's a lot of them. Datejust 2s, they're all over the
I
place.
think that's what people are going to realize is how many, especially when you're talking about Rolex, just how many watches are actually produced, you know?
They're not
And
rare.
People call some stuff rare, you know, and unless you're getting into the vintage realm where the Zoom stuff genuinely is rare, more like, you know, I posted today on Instagram like an APH track rare. I'm like, I'm not associating any premium.
Wait. What did you post?
That's what I'm saying. People try to like fabricate this rarity on watches that doesn't really exist, you know? So, but I wrote even in the comments, I don't have a premium to
Wait, did you say a discontinued Milgauss?
No, I didn't.
Bro, people have been talking about the Milgauss for 13, 14, 15 years. I sold 2 of them, one for $14,500, one for $15,500 the day they came out,
Right.
12, 15 years ago. I still got, they have never been a premium watch as far as I'm concerned. They have always been subpar.
Bastard stepchild of the Rolex.
The bastard stepchild. I like them. They sit nice. They're a nice watch to wear. But people have been waiting for the Milgauss, and now that it's discontinued,
Until next year when it comes back.
yeah, when it comes back.
Right.
But you know how many of them they made over the last 10, 12, 15 years? You could find one anywhere. I hate when people say rare, discontinued, and try to, like, you know, catch some poor, you know, noob out there, you know?
Are you
That's
guys finding a lot of people buying from you for quote-unquote investment because they think it's like a good move in terms of like stability and market going up, or people buying because they actually like the watches that they see on your TikTok?
A lot of them ask me, oh, like,
What's good investment?
yeah, what's good investment? I just say I'm not answering that question because, you know, that
I say I'm not.
that's my fault.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I just say I can't answer that question. If you like the watch, buy it.
Right.
Yeah. If not, don't buy it.
Well, like, what do you get a sense of? Like, you get a sense of like people buying them because they think that like the market's been going up and it's crazy, and you know.
Yeah, it's like a mix of both. Because they come to me and they ask me if it's a good investment. I just tell them like I can't answer that. I don't know. So buy it if you like it, or don't buy it. That's always my answer. Yeah, it's the right answer. Nobody's gonna be upset with that answer. Yeah, exactly. When you tell them it is an investment and then they buy it, and then 6 months later it's worth 70% of what they paid, they're gonna be a little upset. Which is sometimes even worse. Yeah.
like it. What you have to realize with vintage, we specialize in vintage stuff, okay? What I tell people that buy vintage, it's like, you want an investment grade piece. If you're going to buy a vintage watch, okay, if you're going to buy a really nice vintage 62, 63, a vintage pointed crown guard, whatever, you need to hold it minimum 5 years, okay? If you hold that watch for 5 years, I will guarantee you that you will make a very healthy profit. The problem is these guys buy it and they get so caught up in, oh wow, I got it. I'm looking at Crown of 24.
I call it watch ADD. That's what it is.
It's watch AED.
It's watching.
You got two good ones there. Ovid dealers and watch ADZ. I like.
I didn't come up with code dealer. It's been.
I'm stealing it, and I'm saying that you came up with
it. That's
what people
like
don't.
the Buckley dial.
The Buckley dial, yeah. That's the thing about buying a vintage watch and then just thinking that you're going to flip it is that too many people know the pricing. The only real...
They know where the watch came from.
They know where the watch came from. The best vintage watches are the ones that nobody's seen before.
Right.
See, I can show you one in my bag, but, you know.
In your pants?
Well, that's something. That's for later.
Different vintage.
That's for later. And McCorsky will come with us. But those kind of watches are the stuff that collectors want. They want stuff that nobody else has seen. Nobody else had their hands on. And if you post it online more than one time, it's burned. It's dead.
It's crazy how that works. It's crazy how that
the
works.
Paul Newman that's fresh to market.
Yeah.
You can get an extra $100,000-$200,000 if nobody's seen it.
Yep.
And the problem is these guys are so pissed that they just want the money so fast they don't realize. And I tell people, it's like, listen, I had a call 2 weeks ago. Guy's like, I've got this Paul Newman, and you're the only guy that I'm going to show it to.
Right.
I'm like, okay, no problem. I don't want you to send me pictures.
3 other people send you pictures of it.
20 minutes later, John, what would you pay for this? John, I got a guy that's trying to sell this. John, I got this.
It's like all too familiar story.
You know how this goes.
Yeah.
Down in Miami, they're calling you. Okay, up here, they're calling me.
Right.
Okay? And I say to them, I'm like, listen, first thing that you did wrong right now is you showed it to too many people. Now you're not going to get the money because I don't want to get bothered with it. I don't care. Okay?
I make exploiting offers. I say, you can accept this now, or when you come back to me, it's 20%.
Absolutely. I'm not one of these that, the offer stands for a week or no. Here's the and 20% less if you're lucky.
Right.
If I still want to buy it in a day or two.
Yeah.
And what winds up happening is the watch gets burned. You're not going to sell it for what you're going to. And you know where it winds up going? One of the online auction houses or one of the houses over there. And then everybody knows it. And then a couple of guys in the room say, you know what? I'm not going to bid. You get it, and then we wind up getting it.
Exactly.
We wind up with it
It's
anyway.
weird how that works with vintage versus modern, how it's so much more of like a perception being more important than reality kind of scenario. Where
It's true.
Where just people want something that they think no one else has seen or is fresh to market, whereas a modern watch, it doesn't really matter. There's no burning a modern watch.
There's no burning.
There's no burning a modern
Well, that's why there's no finesse involved
Right.
in modern watches. You're a manager. You're buying a watch for $5,000. You're selling it for $5,300. Some of these guys, I'm selling it for $7,000. Well, when the customer comes back to you later on, okay, and once, it says, hey, I lost my job or something, and you tell them you got to buy it back for $3,000, you're going to look like a jerk.
Right.
It's just not right.
So you've been obviously around doing this a lot longer than I have, and you've seen like the literal growth of the entire vintage market. It's crazy. You didn't call it vintage watching.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future? Do you think this is here to stay, or
I think that
20 years from now, everybody's gonna be like, "What's a Paul Newman?"
Well, the problem with a lot of this is that you've got a lot of people who claim to be experts, claim to be this, claim to be that, and do not understand. They haven't handled enough of them to, make that claim.
Claims off pictures. That's what drives me.
Hey,
Keyboard warrior.
You saw the one recently that popped up that had to be pulled.
I missed it.
It was a white gold vignette. I'm looking at the thing, I'm like, do you really think that all of us would have passed on it and it would have gotten to the internet? Seriously? Yeah. I mean, come on. Sometimes things pop up online and we catch them.
There's like fake thousands of those demons popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like
They're making them all over the place.
Yeah, but like there's a premium for them, but it's not like would be wiser to fake like Stella Dows that are worth way more money. Why fake theirs?
They're fakeable.
Right, I guess.
Because they're fakeable.
Yeah, but the fakes are not even good.
They're not even
They're
good.
not even like remotely good.
You see,
right?
These folks that are all over the place with these things, proclaiming their expertise, and it's like, dude,
Well, you always
sit back.
For me, you always had like the most sage advice. It was, always be willing and able to issue a refund. If you can't, then you shouldn't be in business.
Shouldn't be in business.
And always be able to stand behind the product.
Yeah, and if you make a mistake,
I've been hearing you say that for a decade.
Adam, how many mistakes have you made over the years? I've made them. We've all made them.
Yeah.
You know why we're not blown up all over the internet?
Right. Yeah, cut a check.
Cut a check. Hey, sorry, I fucked up.
I give a lifetime guarantee to my retail.
Right, exactly.
Of authenticity.
Right.
So,
but that's why you're in business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These other guys, they're buying this stuff on spec.
Yeah.
And they're
make a quick buck.
They want to make a quick buck, which is okay. Hey, that's cool. But you know what? I'm the gatekeeper here. And it's like, if you're gonna play that game,
right?
It's like, be open to your
Be ready for it. Yeah.
And half of these guys, they get in the middle of these watches. They want to be brokers. They want to say, oh, I sold a Richard Mille, or I sold, a Rainbow Daytona, or I sold this, or I sold that.
Right.
And the next thing you know, okay, the Rainbow Daytona had the stone replaced.
Right.
And your
the card's fake. Yeah.
Your customers find that it's over. It's over. The watch comes back. You're eating it, okay? And then they're not going to be able to pay for it. So what happens? And what happens?
You eat the check.
You eat the check.
Yeah.
You eat it because that's what we do. But these other guys, they have no real accountability.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Then it's a problem. It's a problem. In addition to having limited knowledge because of limited experience.
Also, people ask me all the time, like, what can I do to get involved in this? First of all, learn as much as you fucking can.
No.
You don't.
Join the Vookum Verified group, $20 a month.
Join the Vookum.
Buy, sell, trade, legit check, price check.
I saw you guys at the nightclub with all that.
Yeah, that's down.
Fantastic.
Oh, that was real cost effective. That sign was cost.
How much did that send you back?
I didn't even know what it was called.
I did.
I made the executive decision on it. He was like, let's do it.
Don't worry, tell him that.
Thank you.
Telling them this.
Advertising. You write that.
I told him, come on. He's arguing with me. I said, that's a write-off. He's like, no, it's not that. Not marketing.
Come on, man.
Look at it. No.
That's 100% a tax write-off. I'm not an accountant. Not a fucking accountant.
But you are a lawyer, and you know about that.
That's a tax write-off.
I can think of a lot better ways.
Did you get new clients from that?
No.
Damn right, we did. We got
damn right. Someone came up to us in the club and they joined.
32.
Wait, customer acquisition cost $1,500 a client for those two clients.
It's a lot of lag.
I said 32.
They're obviously doing something right, They're obviously doing something.
No. They're doing it right.
So,
okay, I'm just along for the ride. Okay, I'm along for the ride. I'm gonna die way before them.
But I appreciate your new
and way before you too.
Like fixing watches and everything like that.
Oh, you like that, right?
That's cool.
Oh, people get so heated. They get so heated.
People get heated over everything. I've noticed. Doesn't matter. Everybody has an opinion.
Arthur, who is my friend for over 20 years, super vintage expert with a collection to match.
Right.
Calls me up and says, please don't mention my name in these videos. Because, you know me, I'm like, well, Arthur taught me how to do this, and Arthur taught me how to do that, and all this other stuff. And he's
keep mentioning his name.
He goes on these watchmaker forums, like you saw what they say about me.
Okay.
Which I am a hack.
Butcher a watch.
I am butcher. I'm a butcher, but you know what? When there's no watchmaker around, and I got to change a dial, or I got to do something, let's go, baby.
Listen,
come on.
I do
my
the same.
watch.
Yeah.
You do it.
I do. Change crystals and whatever.
That sometimes we have to do it.
No. Anyways, well, dude, thank you so much for meeting with us, you guys. Congrats, seriously. Love you both. I love you all.
My God, I love you too. Aren't we cute?
Thank you, guys.
Well, that's it for our New York trip during the June watch auctions. Really hope you guys enjoyed seeing this. If you want to get in touch with either Gai or John Buckley, their information will be in the description below. As always, thanks for watching, and if you can, please like, comment, and subscribe on our page to help us grow it. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye.